now a word from our sponsor, Anchor.fm. Here's the deal. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's one of the easiest ways to create a podcast. Let me start. In my first episode ever, I talked about fear. And fear comes from a lot of places, one of them being able to access technology. But Anchor FM is free. It's a creation tool that allows you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. They'll even distribute it for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and a bunch more. And guess what? The coolest thing is they even connect you with sponsors if you want at no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. So here's the deal. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Again, go to anchor.fm to get started or search in your app library for anchor.fm. Hey everybody, I'm Brad James, and today I'm going to talk about fear. All right, for most of you who don't know me, which is probably majority of everybody out there, my name is Brad James, and I run a number of businesses, have been called a closet entrepreneur, but in fact what ends up happening is that one way or another, I have backed into almost every single business I have owned or have worked on or I'm currently working on. And the truth is that in my life, I never imagined early on that I'd be doing this back in the day. And when I say back in the day, I mean like when I was in college, pre-college, when I was a kid, which leads me to my story here. Imagine being senior year in college at a large university or a college, wherever you're at. You spent 21 years of your life getting to this point where you want to go to med school, you want to go to grad school, you've been told you're the brilliant individual and the talented individual that should be a doctor, a lawyer, a PhD, a scientist, a chemist, an engineer. You're supposed to be some great prodigal individual who has everything in their brain to do whatever they want to do and has worked that hard to get to this one point, and all of a sudden something in your gut goes, you don't really want to do this. Now picture 21-year-old who's worked their time to get to med school. They're taking MCATs, they're beginning to do some initial interviews, and all of a sudden one interview question sparks the, hey, why do you want to do this? And you don't have an answer. What do you think the first feeling that creeps in at that moment is? It's fear. You're supposed to know these things. You're supposed to know everything. You're supposed to be the one with the answers, not the one without the answers. And if you don't have the answers right in your mind, you're supposed to be the person who's got a path to get the answers. And you go, I should know the answer to this, because that's the way you were taught. That's the way you were raised. That's what life has been preparing you for since you were born. Well, I got news for you. I was in that situation, and now I'm here. I've got 5 businesses that I run daily. Some are doing great. Others are not doing great right now. Some are doing okay. Some are in a growth phase. Some are in a consolidation phase. Some are pivoting. Some are hypotheticals that haven't been put on paper yet. Others are mapped out completely A to Z, and we are just looking for the right people to fill the roles because I only have 24 hours in the day. I wanted to start this podcast, but I was scared. And it wasn't until a number of reinforcements happened from my mentors, the people I listen to, the authors I read, my parents, my friends, opportunities that have arisen, and even clients who I coach. I decided to put it off because I was scared. And this leads me to the fear question again. I'm realizing right now that I tend to work best when I am scared. I'm scared that people are going to see this, come across it, and they're going to go, Brad has no clue what he's doing. Yeah, there are some times I don't. There are oftentimes a lot of things I know what I'm doing. The other fear of mine is that I'm going to make the commitment of doing this regularly, and I'm not going to be able to fulfill on my own commitment to myself. That's a fear. I'm scared that there are people out there who know me, are going to rib me when we're enjoying my time off as friends, and I'm not going to be able to handle it because I'm having a bad day. There are things that concern me in terms of, is what I'm actually saying making sense to the people listening to this? Long story short, these are all fears that I'm having. I've had these fears before, like the time where I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Now that I have stopped the commitment of trying to go to med school, and I just stopped it. I pulled the plug on it. And for about 3 months, I was in limbo. But the reason I have decided to get started now, even though I have all of those fears, is because back then, when I had that fear, I said, you know what? You just got to start doing stuff. Just start doing and stop thinking and stop sitting on the porch waiting for the answer to come to you through some inspirational goodness. No. Sometimes goals, and I follow goals often, sometimes goals don't work. The goal of finding yourself or finding what you want to do or finding any of that is not measurable. You can't plan it. You can't look at it and go, I know exactly a timeline that I can work towards to get there and work backwards. Can't do it. And if you do that, you're going to end up doing stuff that you're not passionate about, things you don't have a love for. And you're going to end up working with people you don't really like, more often than not. What I'm saying is that fear, don't let it hinder your forward momentum. When you are scared, sometimes the best path, is to go backwards if it's health-wise, right? If it's something that is important. Retreat isn't always a bad thing. I've read Sun Tzu. Sun Tzu has a lot of good business practices in there. But often when we are scared and have fear that is irrational, illogical, all of that stuff, for example, mine is fear of producing content to put out there that I know is valuable because I have clients all over the U.S. and, in fact, some in other countries who say, hey, Brad, what you do for me and how you help me is extremely helpful. And without you, I wouldn't have clarity in what I do. Which I guess in my mind has been one of the greatest reinforcing factors because I know that not every single episode of this is going to speak to every single person. But I want you to come along with me on this path to me building businesses, not just mine, others. What we're going to do in this podcast, and I'm thinking, let's build this, is going to be what it's called. If you got something better, tell me. I've been digging into this for a while now. Again, sitting on the porch, doing something that isn't producing content, searching for stuff rather than just creating stuff. At this point in time, again, come on this journey, follow me. We're going to talk through my struggles. We're going to talk through marketing. We're going to talk through sales. We're going to talk through leadership, entrepreneurship, management. We're going to talk about other people's businesses. Now, I'm not always going to bring up their names, but I'm going to talk to them about this, and I may even have some of them on here because at the end of the day, entrepreneurship is lonely. And as much as everybody, when they dive into entrepreneurship or building a business or a startup, they think it's the sexiest thing there is, because right now it is being romanticized. Shark Tank, The Profit, all these books, people flash and bling, all this stuff. I am a down home Midwest kid raised in a small town who has spent his life and built his brand by working his ass off. And that is it. I grind. I get up in the morning. I hustle. I read. I work at it. I learn something new every day. And that's all I've done. And I've gained expertise in a variety of different areas. So again, join me. I'm going to try and publish one of these once a day. Again, I'm going to do my best. I promise you there are going to be days where you're like, hey, what happened to Brad? And if that happens, ping me, hold me accountable. That's all I can ask. And if there are things you want me to talk about, if there are paths that we begin to go down or stories that I talk about or lessons we talk about, concepts we go through that you want more about or more to learn about them, hit me up. Hit me up in the show notes. We're going to build a website coming up here that will store all this with some show notes, links, everything. If you've got ideas or you want to be on here, again, that's coming. Stay tuned. Right now, I just knew I needed to take a step to get off the porch. So that's what I'm doing. It is Monday, June 29th. So 365 days of this. I am going to do my best to even have something produced on the holidays. Yes, you heard me. I'm going to try to do something on the holidays. It's no different. All of my friends know I'm a workaholic, and every time I can't make it, they don't hold it against me because I'm building my dreams, man. And that's what I want to be here for. I want to be here for you. I want to help you through that stuff. I want to make sure you know that the guys who seem like they're hitting it out of the park all the time are not. I know some of them, and often when you get to know them, either through inner circles or conversations or just back and forths by happenstance, they don't have their stuff together all the time. They have to look like it because guess what? They're trying to give you an example of something that works, and part of that is marketing. So stay tuned. There's going to be more episodes. We're going to talk about some course launch. I'll talk about some of the stuff I'm doing for my clients, programs we run, coaching we run through all of my companies. And stay tuned. So I will do my best to introduce this. I know there's a lot to go through, but this is supposed to be fun too. So stay tuned, and I will talk to you all tomorrow. Take care.